Love doesn't leave loudly. It leaves slowly. You can love someone deeply and still not know how to love them well. Most people don't want advice. They want understanding. Real love is not a feeling you catch. It's a practice you maintain. The things you regret most are never the things you said. They are the things you kept to yourself. Choosing someone once is easy. Choosing them again on an ordinary Tuesday, that is love. My name is Billy. I am 83 years old. I have been married twice. I lost one wife to illness. I lost the other one while she was still alive, still sleeping in the same bed as me, still eating at the same table. That second kind of loss is the one nobody prepares you for. That is the one that follows you into old age. I'm not here to give you a list. I am not a pastor. I'm not a therapist. I am just an old man who has had enough time to sit with his mistakes and look at them clearly. When you are 83, you stop lying to yourself. There is no time left for that. So let me talk to you the way I wish someone had talked to me when I was young and stupid and sure I had it all figured out. The biggest lie both men and women believe about relationships is this: love is enough. It is not. Love is the seed. But seeds die without soil, without water, without sun. And most people in love are so excited about the seed that they never bother to prepare the ground. I love my first wife deeply. I'm not sure I ever told her that clearly enough. Not in words. I showed it the way my father showed it, by working hard, by keeping the lights on, by never missing a bill. That is how men of my generation were taught to say I love you. You worked, you provided, you showed up physically, and you assumed she understood. She did not understand. Gary Chapman wrote a book, The 5 Love Languages, and when my granddaughter showed it to me, I sat down and felt something cold move through my chest. Right there on the page was the problem that had lived inside my marriage for 31 years, and nobody had ever named it that clearly before. My love language was acts of service. Hers was words of affirmation. I was building a house. She was starving for someone to say you are beautiful and mean it. We were both loving each other in entirely different languages, and we both went to bed feeling unloved. That is not stupidity. That is ignorance. And ignorance can be fixed if someone bothers to tell you. Nobody told us, so I'm telling you now. Before we go further, I want you to subscribe. Not because some script told me to say it, but because what I'm going to tell you in the next few minutes took me 40 years to learn. And I would hate for you to miss the part that might actually save something you care about. Hit that button. Come back for the rest. Let me speak to the men first. And I want you to listen without getting defensive, because I am not attacking you. I was you. I made every single mistake I am about to describe. The first thing men do not understand about women is that women do not need you to fix things. They need you to witness things. I know. That makes no sense to a man's brain. If something is broken, you fix it. That is logical. That is efficient. That is what men do. But when a woman comes home upset because her friend said something cruel, or because her job is grinding her down, or because she feels like she's falling short as a mother, she is not coming to you with a broken engine. She is coming to you with a heavy heart. And a heavy heart does not need a wrench. It needs someone to sit next to it and say, I hear you. That sounds really hard. I am here. That is it. That is the whole job. But men, we cannot stand silence. We cannot stand problems without solutions. John Gray wrote, "Men are from Mars, women are from Venus" back in the 90s, and people laughed at the title, but the man was not wrong. He said women need empathy before solutions. He said men pull back when stressed, and women need to talk through things to feel better. And because we do not understand these differences, we treat them like character flaws instead of wiring differences. I once sat across from my first wife while she was upset. Not dramatic, just the quiet kind where you could see the weight on someone's face. And I said, "Well, have you tried just not letting it get to you?" She looked at me like I had suggested she try not needing oxygen. I was trying to help. I genuinely thought I was helping. I was not helping. I was making her feel more alone than if I had just left the room. The second thing men do not understand about women is that women are always checking whether they are safe with you emotionally. Not because they are difficult, because that is how trust works. A woman who opens up emotionally is taking a risk. Every time, she is handing you something fragile and watching to see what you do with it. If you roll your eyes, she closes a door. If you dismiss it, she closes another door. And after enough doors close, you wake up one morning next to someone who has completely stopped trying to reach you. And you think the problem started last week. It started years ago. It started with the eye roll you do not even remember giving. Harville Hendrix talked about this in Getting the Love You Want. How partners slowly pull back from each other, not in one dramatic moment, but in hundreds of tiny moments where one person reached out and the other person was not paying attention. Not cruel, just absent, just distracted, just somewhere else in their head. Pay attention, men. That is the whole lesson. Pay attention. The third thing, and this one is going to sting, is that most men confuse being needed with being loved. And those are not the same thing. When a woman stops asking you for help, when she stops sharing her problems with you, when she handles everything herself, most men interpret that as strength, as independence, as her not needing them. What it actually is, most of the time, is her having learned to protect herself. She stopped asking because she got tired of feeling let down. She learned to need you less because needing you hurt. And while you were proud of her independence, she was quietly grieving the version of this relationship where she felt safe enough to lean on you. I learned this at 67 from a conversation with my daughter that I was not supposed to hear. She was talking about her own marriage. She did not know I was in the next room. And she said something I will never forget. I used to tell him everything. Now I tell him nothing, because telling him everything just made me feel more alone. I sat in that hallway for a long time. If this is landing for you, if you are recognizing something in what I am saying, I need you to do something right now. Share this video with someone who needs it. Not to prove a point, not to win an argument. Just quietly share it. Because the people who need this most are often the ones who will never go looking for it on their own. They need someone who loves them to put in front of them. Go ahead. I will be here. Now let me talk to the women. And I say this as someone who is married to two of you and deeply confused by both of you. So please understand I am speaking with respect. The first thing women do not understand about men is that a man who goes quiet is not a man who does not care. He is a man who does not know what to say. And silence feels safer than saying the wrong thing again. Men are not taught to process emotions out loud. We are taught to handle things, to manage them, to not burden other people with our internal weather. By the time most men are adults, They've spent 20, 30 years compressing feelings into a very small space inside their chests. And that space does not open easily, and it certainly does not open on demand. When a man shuts down in an argument, women often read it as contempt, as not caring, as shutting them out. Sometimes it is, but more often it is overwhelm. John Gottman, who studied couples for 40 years and could predict relationship breakdown with frightening accuracy, he called it emotional flooding. The heart rate goes up. The brain goes into survival mode. And when the brain is in survival mode, productive conversation is not available. It is physiologically not available. So when your man goes quiet, he is not abandoning the conversation. He is trying not to explode inside it. And what he needs, what he cannot ask for, because he does not even have a language, is a few minutes of space before he comes back. Give it to him, not as a punishment, not as a withdrawal. Give it to him the way you would give someone who is overwhelmed a moment to breathe before you try to talk to them. The second thing women do not understand about men is that men hear criticism as rejection. Not sometimes, almost always. When a woman says, "You never plan anything for us anymore," she means I miss feeling like a priority. That is a fair and reasonable thing to feel. But what a man hears is, "You are failing. You are inadequate. You are not enough." And when a man hears that, he does not sit down and think, "She has a point. Let me plan a nice dinner." He shuts down. He gets defensive. He maybe gets irritable. And the woman watches him react like that and thinks, "He does not care about my feelings." And the man is sitting there feeling like, "Nothing I do is ever good enough." They are both hurting about the same situation, talking completely past each other. Robert Bly spent years writing about the wounded masculine, about how men who grow up without adequate fathering develop this brittle place where any criticism feels like an attack. Not because they are weak, because they have never been taught to distinguish between feedback and rejection. And so they respond to both the same way. Women, if you want him to hear you, try leading with what you need instead of what he is not doing. Not you never plan anything, but I would love it if we had something to look forward to together. Same need, completely different impact. And I promise you, a man who loves you will respond to the second one far better than the first. The third thing women do not understand about men is that most men are carrying a deep loneliness and have no idea how to say so. Men are not taught to build close friendships the way women are. We're taught to have acquaintances, people to watch the game with, people to work alongside. But the kind of friendship where you say, "I'm struggling and I need someone to talk to," most men over 50 have nobody to say that to. And so the relationship becomes everything. The partner becomes best friend, confidant, support system, lover, social life, all in one person. And that is a heavy weight to put on one relationship. And when things get hard, the man has no one else to turn to. He just disappears inside himself. So when you see a man who is shut down, difficult, emotionally distant, before you give up on him, consider he might just be a person who has been carrying things alone for a very long time. He might just need someone to reach him, and he may not know how to ask for that, or even recognize that is what he needs. Let me tell you something that happened to me when I was 52 years old. My first wife had passed after a long illness. She was 49. We had been together for 31 years. And in the weeks that followed, when the house got quiet and I finally had time to think, I realized I did not know what she had wanted. Not from the marriage. I mean, what she had wanted from life. What she had dreamed about when she was young. We had been together since she was 19, and I had no idea. I thought I knew her completely. I thought 31 years was enough time to know someone. I did not know her, because I had spent 31 years listening to what needed to be handled, what needed to be fixed, what was urgent. I had not spent 31 years asking the quieter questions. I had not said, "What do you dream about? What do you wish you had done differently? What would you do if you were not afraid?" I had not asked because I assumed, and I assumed because I was busy, and I was busy because I thought that was love. It was not love. It was management. Real love is curiosity about another person. Ongoing, active, relentless curiosity. Not just when you're dating. Not just in the first years. 40 years in, 60 years in, you should still be learning who they are, because people change, and if you're not paying attention, you will one day realize you are living with a stranger you think you know. Do not make my mistake. I want to talk about 4 specific things, not from a book, from my life, and from watching the people around me for 83 years. The first thing is contempt, not anger. Anger is loud, but it is honest. Contempt is quiet, and it is far more damaging. Contempt is the eye roll, the sigh when they start talking, the way you stop taking someone seriously. John Gottman called contempt the #1 warning sign in a struggling relationship. And he was right. You can work through fights. You can close distance. What is very hard to come back from is a relationship where one person has stopped respecting the other. When that sets in, everything else starts to unravel. The second thing is silence as punishment. I was guilty of this for years. When I was angry, I went quiet, not to collect my thoughts, to make her feel the weight of my disapproval through absence. It felt powerful at the time. It was corrosive over time. Every time I used silence as a weapon, I was teaching her that when things got hard, I would pull away instead of engage. And eventually she stopped expecting anything different. So she stopped trying to reach me. The third thing is the belief that love is a feeling rather than a decision. Young people, you're going to feel less in love with your partner sometimes. That is not a sign that you chose wrong. That is a sign that you are human, and the intensity of early love is not designed to stay at that pitch forever. Lasting love is not a feeling you catch. It is a practice you maintain. It is choosing that person again on the Tuesday mornings when they are tired and irritable and the spark feels far away. And if you are waiting to feel the magic before you act with love, you will spend your whole life waiting. Scott Peck wrote in The Road Less Traveled that love is the willingness to extend yourself for another person's growth. Not their comfort, their growth. Sometimes that means the hard conversation. Sometimes it means staying through a difficult season when the easier thing would be to walk away. That is not weakness. That is the only kind of love that actually lasts. The fourth thing, and I want you to hold on to this one, is the failure to repair. Every couple argues. Every couple will say things they wish they could take back. Every couple will have nights that end badly. That is not what separates the ones who last from the ones who do not. What separates them is what happens the next morning. The couples who last repair, they come back. They say, "I was out of line last night." They reach across the quiet. They do not wait for the other person to go first. They go first, even when it was not their fault, even when they're still stinging. They go first because the relationship matters more than being right. I was terrible at this. I would wait for her to come to me, because going her first felt like losing. It is not losing. It is how you keep something worth keeping. You're still watching this. That means something you heard today touched something real in you. And here is where I'm going to be direct with you. If you watched this whole video and you thought, yes, that is my partner, but you did not once think, yes, that is me, watch it again. Because I have never in 83 years met a person who was entirely the problem or entirely without fault. We are all, every one of us, doing something right now that is costing a relationship. The question is whether you are willing to look at it honestly. After this video, do not send it to your partner with a note that says, watch this. Do not use it as a weapon. Sit with it yourself first. Ask yourself what part of what I said applies to you. Really ask. The honest answer will be uncomfortable. And that discomfort is exactly where the growing starts. If this video helped you see something clearly, subscribe. Leave a comment. Tell me what landed for you. Every comment that says this made me reach out to my partner, or I finally understood something today. That is the whole reason I am sitting here talking into a camera at 83 years old. That is the whole point. I want to spend time on something that does not get talked about enough because it does not have a dramatic name. There is no argument. There is no betrayal. There is just distance, the slow drift. It happens to almost every long-term relationship at some point. You stop having the conversations you used to have. You start watching different things. You eat together, but you're not really together. You share a home, but you are on separate islands. You have become people who live alongside each other and used to be deeply in love. Most people, when this happens, assume the love is gone. They start to wonder if they chose wrong. They look at their partner and try to find what they used to feel, and they cannot locate it, and they panic. But the love is not gone most of the time. The connection is buried under the weight of daily life, under things left unsaid, under conversations that kept getting postponed until they stop happening at all, under the slow accumulation of moments where one person reached out and the other was looking at their phone. Sue Johnson, who developed emotionally focused therapy, talks about how couples in distress are really just two people who are afraid they do not matter to each other anymore, afraid that if they are really seen, they will be found lacking. And so they protect themselves. They get sharp, or they pull away, or they become critical. And the other person responds the same way. And before long, you have two people who love each other and are completely unable to reach each other. The way back is not a big trip or a grand gesture. It is smaller than that. It is asking a question you have not asked in years. It is saying I miss you to someone who is sitting right next to you. It is being willing to go first into vulnerability, which is the scariest thing, and also the only thing that ever actually works. My second wife and I, we drifted. I was 61, she was 58. We had built a life together that looked good from the outside. And somewhere in the middle of building it, we stopped talking about anything that mattered. We talked about schedules. We talked about the grandchildren. We talked about what needed fixing around the house. We stopped talking about us. I saw the drift happening. I did not name it, because naming it meant admitting it was real. And admitting it was real meant one of us had to do something about it. And we were both too tired, too stubborn, and too afraid to go first. She eventually left to build a different life. And looking back clearly, I understand why. We had both been pulling back for years. She just made it official before I did. I do not want to leave you only with what goes wrong. Let me tell you what I have seen work. What I watched in the couples around me who made it, who grew old together still laughing, who still looked at each other like they had found something rare and were not about to take it for granted. The first thing is they chose each other consciously, regularly, not just on big occasions. On ordinary days, they did small things on purpose, a cup of tea brought without being asked, a hand on the back walking into a room, a compliment that was specific and sincere. Not grand, consistent. And consistency over years becomes the foundation that holds everything else up. The second thing is they fought differently, not less. Differently. They fought about what was actually in front of them, not about everything at once. They did not drag in history. They did not use the argument as a place to unload everything they had been storing up. They handled what needed handling, and then they repaired, and then they moved forward. The argument did not define the relationship. The repair did. The third thing is they stayed curious. The woman I knew who had been with her husband for 57 years,